Welcome. The Office of the Chief Data Officer and the Texas Department of Information Resources are proud to offer this course, Data Governance and the Data Lifecycle. We hope you will find this a valuable resource as you continue your journey to becoming more data literate. As always, thank you for your support of the Texas Statewide Data Program. This program would not be possible without the time and support of our state agency and institutions of higher education partners. The Office of the Chief Data Officer would like to thank the following partners for contributing their knowledge and expertise in developing the Texas Data Literacy Program. We also want to acknowledge our colleagues at the Texas Department of Information Resources for their support and contributions to this program. By the end of this course, you will be able to define data governance and understand who is responsible for it. Understand the stages of the data lifecycle. And be familiar with some of the different roles and responsibilities in a data governance program and throughout the data lifecycle. People are used to thinking about governing a state or a country, but what does it mean to govern data? One thing to remember is the data Texas state agencies and institutions of higher education creates and acquires is an organizational asset essential to driving business strategy, and not just the byproduct of an IT application. Data governance is the exercise of authority and control over the management of data assets, and it is the foundation of an effective data management program. A data governance program focuses on setting policies and procedures around how decisions about data are made, what people are expected to do with the data, and the goals that data management processes should accomplish for the purpose of informing and driving business strategy, such as opportunities for data quality improvements or how to define a customer. Data governance is not one size fits all. Governance programs are organizationally and culturally specific. Governance is also not a once-and-done effort or project, because data are created, can change, and are used every day. Therefore, data governance should be considered a permanent and ongoing program that can adapt and change over time as new strategic priorities are identified and new data challenges arise. But who is responsible for data governance? In 2021, the 87th Texas Legislature regular session passed Senate Bill 475, which required agencies with more than 150 full-time employees to designate a Data Management Officer, or DMO, to establish their agency's data governance program, manage the agency's data assets, establish related processes and procedures, and conduct a data maturity assessment. These responsibilities are codified in Texas Government Code Section 2054. However, an organization's data is owned by its business area, and the business is ultimately responsible for that data. Ownership refers to the individual or area who originally created or acquired the raw data to support the business mission and goals, and who retains the rights to approve sharing or other actions, to make access control decisions or restrictions, and to approve memorandums of agreement on data use. Data stewardship refers to the enforcement of requirements established by data owners. Data stewards enforce data owner requirements, translate them into meaningful requirements for users, and act as subject matter experts on the data and its utility for business use. Data stewards are employees within the business or operational areas who are responsible for ensuring the appropriate sharing and use of an organization's data assets. What does data governance look like? We've already established that data governance is the exercise of authority and control over the management of data assets. And a data governance council or other executive body that reports through the business or mission function is a best practice. A Data Governance Council is a strategic body made up of persons in the organization who are accountable for business or program area operations or the organizational mission. And the council is typically facilitated by the data management officer or similar role. The council may also have others in a consultative role, such as IT, records retention, and general counsel staff. Generally, in public sector organizations, data governance programs have the business goals of compliance with regulatory requirements, improving customer service, improving the efficiency and transparency of government, and protecting the rights and privacy of citizens. Under the guidance and direction of a Data Governance Council, a data governance program should lay out program accountability and lines of authority by establishing policies and procedures and by defining the roles and responsibilities of those across the organization who are responsible and accountable for various aspects of data governance and data management. Once an organization creates a data governance program, one of the first things that can set the stage for success is appropriately determining the scope of the program. An organization may choose to apply an enterprise-wide governance program to all its data assets. This is easiest in hierarchical organizations that can impose policies on all constituent components. Other organizations could decide to start by scoping their programs to focus on a specific data domain, such as financial data. An organization could decide to scope its data governance program to cover a particular organizational unit, adding others as the program becomes established and begins to show positive impact. In some cases, it may make sense to scope the data governance program around a specific data governance goal, such as improving data quality or complying with a particular law or regulation. A data governance program can be centralized or federated. In a centralized architecture, the Data Governance Council establishes policies and procedures for all data assets across the organization. While centralization of data governance can be more efficient and exert greater control over data assets, it is not always possible to implement. In large, diverse organizations with multiple programs and data collecting components, the data governance architecture is usually federated to account for organizational realities. A federated data governance program is designed in a way so that some aspects of the program are administered by a central authority in a data governance hub, and other aspects remain the responsibility of organizationally or geographically dispersed components. This is an approach that generally works well for large, heterogeneous organizations in which centralizing all governance tasks is either not feasible or not desirable. Some things to have centralized in a data governance hub might be legal compliance policies, an organizational business glossary, and metadata standards. What tasks are centralized and what tasks are reserved for dispersed components can vary from program to program and must take into account the reality of your organizational culture and how data is collected and used across the various components. Ideally, no matter how your data governance program is structured, data governance policies and procedures will apply to every stage of the data lifecycle. The stages of the data lifecycle include planning for collection and use, the actual acquisition or creation of data, processing and ingesting data into an analytics or business intelligence platform, the documentation and curation of contextual metadata, the ongoing sharing and use of data assets, and the archival or disposal of data once it has reached the end of its utility for the organization. During the planning stage of the data lifecycle, An organization should create its data strategy. A data strategy is a document that will lay out the goals of the data governance program. Agencies and institutions of higher education are responsible for the creation and maintenance of their own enterprise data strategy, as well as ensuring the data strategy is communicated to employees and stakeholders. Data strategies differ from organization to organization, but could include high-level information about key concepts, roles and responsibilities, and overarching data governance policy statements. As owners of an organization's data, it is essential that business and program leadership coordinate with the DMO in this stage to ensure the data and information derived from data are appropriate for furthering the business mission and goals. Stage 2 is the acquisition or creation of data. Data can be acquired from outside sources or created internally. Data owners, as well as data stewards, are key to this stage of the data lifecycle, as they are the drivers for determining what data is needed to further their mission and for using that data for strategic advantage. Stage 3 of the data lifecycle is processing and ingesting data. For data to be used for analytical and business intelligence purposes, it typically needs to be modeled or transformed and made available for use in an application or analytics platform. Data stewards have a role to play here, but data custodians do much of the heavy lifting in this stage of the lifecycle. Often called a technical data steward, the role of the data custodian is closer to the IT side of the house than the business or mission side. During this stage, data are transformed and prepared for use, but there is another stage in the data lifecycle that is critical for the discovery, use, and reuse of data over time. Curation. Curation is the ongoing documentation of metadata about key data assets according to standard operating procedures and consistent terms of reference. When data is well curated, it contains appropriate contextual metadata that allows a dataset to be discoverable for uses other than its original intended use. This can help avoid duplication of effort. Good curation also enables better data analytics by allowing data analysts to gauge the reliability of a dataset, identify gaps in data for possible additional collection, and to articulate caveats and margins of error. Data curators are staff who maintain and manage the metadata for data assets and assist in determining best practices for working with the data. The sharing and use of data assets is the fifth stage of the life cycle, and where the true value of data is realized. Data's value lies in an organization's ability to meaningfully engage with it and to extract insights from it to drive business strategy. Maximizing the appropriate sharing and use of data assets for mission goals, while still protecting those assets from inappropriate access or use, is primarily the responsibility of data stewards. An organization's information security and privacy officers have responsibilities in this stage of the life cycle as well. Some data may need to be anonymized or have its access strictly controlled, and data stewards work with these offices to help enforce policies and procedures associated with the sharing and use of restricted data assets. At some point, data will reach the end of its useful life, or it will reach the end of the time period for which it can be retained based on law or policy. Archiving and/or disposal is the final stage in the data lifecycle. An organization's records management office maintains retention schedules that inform how long data can and should be held on data platforms before it is either archived, that is, moved off immediately accessible platforms and into storage, or disposed of, that is, permanently destroyed. Per Senate Bill 475, an agency's data management officer is required to coordinate with their agency's information security officer, records management officer, and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission to implement best practices, increase awareness of records management programs, and ensure the records management programs are implemented for all types of data storage media. You've now completed the course Data Governance and the Data Lifecycle. I hope you have found this information useful. During this course, we have defined data governance and discussed who is responsible for it, described the stages of the data lifecycle, and discussed the different roles and responsibilities in a data governance program and throughout the data lifecycle. For more information about data governance and data management principles, visit the Office of the Chief Data Officer website.